Hello and welcome to Castle Douglas in Dumfries and Galloway, home to the belted Galloway cattle, and home tonight to the men and women of the Tour Series, for whom, after the great racing the other night in Sunderland, both titles are now up for grabs. And for once, Kelton the Belty won't be the star of the show.
Sunderland's Mowbray Park hosted a full day of events for the city, drawing huge crowds. The women kicked things off with Pro Noctis in the leaders' jerseys, driving things hard. But the bunch proved harder to split than the big teams had anticipated. And at the first sprint, the race was still all together as the irrepressible Jo Tindley took the honours. Tindley then doubled up at the second of the intermediate sprints, before eventually her Pro Noctis team ceded control of the very front of the race as the finish line approached.
Pereira James trying to come through, but Megan Barker has opened a gap. She takes the win.
Megan Barker's victory then contributing towards a team win on the night for Cams Basso, who narrowed the gap at the top to Pro Noctis. They now lead by the slenderest of advantages. The men next, and a similar story at first, as a large group held the wheels well into the hour's racing. Eventually though, a group managed to get clear, one which gradually grew with a succession of counter-attacks. Both the big favourites, Ribble and Canyon, had representation in the front, with Matt Gibson and Charlie Tanfield. But it was the Wales Racing Academy who had the numerical advantage. Their two riders dominating the sprints, first with Will Roberts, then with Joe Holt, who took both the second and the third of the intermediate sprints. Heading towards the finish, it was all about positioning into the final corner.
Tanfield and Holt are fighting it out, but Will Roberts takes the win.
And with Ribble only managing a modest third on the night, there are now 4 teams within 3 points of overall victory in Castle Douglas.
So it's close in the men's competition, but not as close as it is in the women's competition. Just 1 point separating first from second. Jo Tindley of Pro Noctis in the leader's jersey again. You don't even need to remind you, I guess, just how close this is going to be this final round.
It's going to be close, yeah. 1 point's nothing. We were second place by, I think, a second, if that, at Sunderland. So they're nipping at our heels, so it's going to be a bit of a fight today.
Yeah, and it wasn't for want of trying in Sunderland, was it? You got on the front, you tried to shred it, especially on that climb through the start-finish line. But for some reason it wouldn't break up in quite the way that all of us had imagined it would. No,
I think not having GB there wasn't enough horsepower. We certainly didn't want to burn too many matches doing that. And it all came back together on that descent. With a tailwind down a descent, you're not going to get away. Everyone's kind of rolling at the same speed. So it just wasn't technical enough to be able to split it that much.
So did you then realise sort of halfway through the race that actually that tactic wasn't working, and did you have to sort of reconfigure a little bit and think about that final sprint and your placings?
Yeah, it was quite early on, but our tactic wasn't really to split it like that. It was kind of to let other people do that, and our focus was the points jersey at that point. So I wanted to sweep up as many points as I could in those first 2 sprints, and obviously the third sprint, just to secure it.
Yep.
Coming into this last round, it kind of makes it a little bit more secure and a bit less stressful. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, do you see this as a straight shootout between yourselves and Cams Basso, or do you think other teams could still get involved here? And is there a danger in you two just looking at each other too much?
There's no danger of us two looking at each other, and I think it is going to be a straight shootout between us and Cams. You know, coming second in the last 2 rounds, I mean, I've been doing this nearly 10 years and I've never won.
Wow.
So I would like a win on a personal level, but then I've never been in the leader's jersey either. I've never been on the winning team, so to be in that position is very special for me.
Well, good luck to you. There's a lot at stake tonight, as there are for all the riders here in Castle Douglas. By the way, the wind is incredibly strong. There's a risk that some of the barriers could even blow over, and rain is forecast. Let's have a look at the Castle Douglas circuit in a little bit more detail, though.
The 1.4 kilometre Castle Douglas circuit uses a double rectangular formation, meaning plenty of tight corners, and with that, a lot of heavy braking. The long back straight could see some of the faster teams attempting to split the field as the pace increases, and with 6 hard turns from there to the finish, being at the front will be uppermost in the riders' minds. Castle Douglas is a traditional market town, which is now a thriving hub of local business. This Tour Series round forms part of the 2021 Castle Douglas Bike and Food Festival. Threave Garden and Estate, managed by the National Trust for Scotland, is close by. The waters of Carlingwood Loch and Loch Ken are perfect for water sports and popular fishing locations. It has hosted 3 stage finishes of the Tour of Britain since 2005. The last of these came in 2016, when German legend Andre Greipel outsprinted his rivals to take the stage win.
Well, in this truncated series of 3, this is the only round in Scotland, and quite possibly It's going to experience the worst weather of all three as well. High time we got the action underway in the company of Marty McDonald.
The riders on the start for the grand finale of this year's Tour Series. Going into the final round, you could not ask for a better scenario than this. Just 1 point separating the top 2 teams in the general classification. Pro Noctis Red Chili Bikes, Heidi Kietzen in those yellow freewheel leaders jerseys. 1 point advantage over the defending champions CAMS Basso Bikes in those fluorescent yellow and red jerseys. So it will be interesting to see how the teams play out the tactics in this one. This 1.4 kilometre circuit around Castle Douglas, very technical in nature. 45 minutes plus 3 laps for the riders, with 2 sprints coming every 15 minutes. Your team's CAMS Basso Bikes, our leaders, Awol O'Shea, coming into this round with just 3 riders, which means all of them will have to count. Crimson Orientation Marketing, they've had a good rounds so far. Pro Noctis Red Chili Bikes, Heidi Kietzen, Skoda DSI Academy in their green jerseys. They sit 3rd in the general classification. Team Boom Pods, Ellen McDermott for Team Boom Pods, challenging for that sprints classification. She is wearing that blue jersey there as a second rider. Joe Tindley, of course, in the leader's jersey, means that jersey passes down to Ellen McDermott. There is the gap. So Tindley at top with 28 points, Ellen McDermott with 17. So 15 points on offer today. So that is still a battle on our hands here in Castle Douglas for that much for over sprints classification. We're on the rollout lap here, so the riders just get a sighting of the course, and then when they are ready to go, the bike will just pull away, and we are off and racing here in Castle Douglas, the final race of this series. Harriet Dodd there in the blue and jersey of Team LDN Brother UK. Those pink jerseys of Crimson Orientation Marketing. What a series they've had so far. Coming down to sprint 1, and it's Becky Seal of Torelli Ashore Cayman Islands Scimitar on the front. You can see those yellow jerseys of Pro Noctis Red Chili Bikes, Heidi Kietzen. So they'll get the klaxon through the line this time. You can see Jessica Finney in that yellow and red jersey of CAMS Basso Bikes up towards the front. So Tindley with McDermott right on the wheel of Jessica Finney. So that blue jersey of Ella McDermott, the former Irish National Criterium champion, really has stepped up. And what a battle we have had between Ella McDermott and Joe Tindley for that sprints classification here this evening. You can see Zan Crease up towards the front in that black and gold jersey of Spectra Wiggle. But McDermott now moving up onto the wheel of Joe Tindley. And Tindley will have to just watch out for the Boom Pods rider. And McDermott's got Isabel Darville in this group as well. You can see Megan Barker on the left just moving up for CAMS Basso. So big decisions here for Pro Noctis. How much are they going to sacrifice in the defense of this sprint lead and potentially use up power that they might need later on in the race for the general classification? Sam Fawcett now leading out the sprint for her teammate Tindley, who sat 3rd wheel. McDermott just focused in on the wheel there of Sam Fawcett. So it looks like Pro Noctis are going to try and lead out these sprints for Joe Tindley. Jessica Finney now up onto the wheel of Tindley as they swing left. So you can now see the technical nature of this Castle Douglas circuit. It's a fast course, so Fawcett swings off, forces McDermott now through towards the front of this one, just takes it up again in that lead out. Dodd just sitting there for Team Brother UK. LDN was in that breakaway on the first round in Gisborough. 100 metres to go out of this bottom corner. McDermott now opens up the sprint. Tindley is poised and ready on the wheel, but Ellen McDermott, she wants this sprint's classification in her own right, but Tindley takes second spot there. So first points of the night go to McDermott, but Tindley straight through. Is she going to persist now with this attack? There's confirmation of your results. Ellen McDermott just closes that gap very slightly to Joe Tindley. Finney, Fawcett and Thackeray take those minor points. Lining up sprint 2 now. We're getting towards the sprint lap here. McDermott on the front, Dodd in the centre, Tindley poised and ready, Jessica Finney, and to see Amira Meller on the right, Sophie Thackeray out of the saddle for Boom Pods. Klaxon sounds for the sprint lap, and it's good to see Beth Harley-Jepson of Jaden Vive Lavello up towards the front. But McDermott not making any mistakes here as Corran's side comes through this time for Pro Noctis Red Chili Bikes to lead out for Tindley. So that points difference now between McDermott and Tindley. McDermott's got to take maximum points in each one of the sprints, but she needs to riders to get between her and Tindley if she stands a chance of taking this jersey off the shoulders of Tindley come the finish. But Joe Tindley sitting second wheel here in these freewheel yellow jerseys. She will be able to direct the team, and you can see that constantly just looking back over the shoulders as they just pick up some back markers on this circuit. Corran's side though doing a great lead out here for Joe Tindley. It's just between these two riders sitting second and third wheel here. You can see just how much Corran's side now is stretching out this peloton though on the sprint lap, keeping the pace nice and high. McDermott doing the right thing here, just sat on the wheel of Tindley. It's quite close from the bottom corner up towards the finish line. As we said, she just wants some riders to get between her and the Pro Noctis rider. Interestingly, at this point though, how many of those Cams Basso jerseys are up towards the front? They're just sat back. Pro Noctis, are they using up too much energy early on in this race for the intermediate sprints classification? Corran's side now will open up this lead out. Tindley and McDermott, the blue jersey of McDermott of Boom Pods comes off the wheel. She takes maximum points, but with Joe Tindley crossing the line there in second place, it's not going to be enough this evening for Ellen McDermott to take that jersey off the shoulders of Joe Tindley. Tindley will finish the night as the sprints winner. So 5-4 to Tindley and McDermott. Berry, Finney and Dodd, your minor placings. Tindley, McDermott and Finney now just off the front. So after 2 sprints, McDermott with 10, Tindley with 8, but it won't be enough. Joe Tindley will pull on that blue jersey come the finish. Now the focus shifts for Pro Noctis and Joe Tindley to try and take this series overall. Heading towards 3 laps to go here on the final round of the 2021 Tour Series from Castle Douglas. 3 laps to go, 45 minutes of racing done so far. And you can see just how much the pressure and the pace has thinned down this peloton. And interestingly now, we start to see Cams Basso coming to the front. This is how it looks. Pro Noctis Red Chili Bikes, Heidi Kietzen, top of the standings with 28 points. Cams Basso second with 27 points. This literally could come down to the throw to the line. That is what's so unique about the Tour Series. It is a team competition, 3 riders to count. So you can see the riders all looking around at each other to make sure they've got enough jerseys. Jessica Finney, a big glance back over the shoulder to see where the teammates are. Count those yellow jerseys, the leaders' jerseys going into tonight of Pro Noctis. But have Pro Noctis used up a lot of energy early on in this race defending that sprints classification for Joe Tindley? The experience of Tindley, for me, I would have said she could have probably done that on her own against Ellen McDermott. And Cams Basso, Sophie Thackeray now moving up in the centre to make it 3 towards the front. They're just starting to pick up some more back markers. The lap riders, of course, usually get pulled out with 3 laps to go. Megan Barker on the front. And now we're going to have a big lead out here from Cams Basso. You've got Tindley, Fawcett, Coronside, Amy Gornall still in there as well. For Pro Noctis, they need to get as many riders up towards the front, pack the front of this race. Jessica Finney, great series she has had so far. Frankie Morgan-Schlader here for AWOL O'Shea. As we said earlier on, just 3 riders to count for them. She looks like the only rider in here from that team. Ellen McDermott of Boom Pods in that blue jersey, still very much up towards the front. So Megan Barker sitting second wheel here as they go through 2 laps to go. The winner in Sunderland, winner of 2 rounds of the Tour Series back in 2018. So 3 towards the front for Pro Noctis, 3 towards the front as well for Cams Basso. Finney doing a great job in this lead out, so Cams Basso have got control over the front here. And this team have been out in Europe earlier on in the season, and as defending champions, they know how to win this one. Just a little, they see some of the yellow jerseys just drifting far back. You can see Amy Gornall, just a little grimace on the face there. Charlotte Berry towards the front as well for Pro Noctis. They need to communicate in this one. So in a race such as a Tour Series, no radio communication. They rely on the team managers in the pits. You can't always hear what they're saying as you go past. Some of the team managers used to rely on the whiteboards to try and get instructions to the riders. But as they come down towards the final lap here, 1.4 kilometer circuit, look at the pace and the technique of Jessica Finney as she throws that bike into these corners. You can see the riders behind scrabbling for positions to try and stay in the right position in this lead out. Samantha Stewart for Crimson Orientation Marketing, a little bit further down the group. She's been sprinting well in this series, but it really is a dominant lead out here from Cams Basso Bikes. Sophie Thackeray out of the saddle, just got to get herself in between some of the Pro Noctis riders. Pro Noctis, can they get themselves 3 riders in total? You've just got to pack the front of this peloton now, but Jessica Finney is going to lead through with 1 lap to go. Jo Tindley, you can see there, sat 3rd wheel right behind Megan Barker. Twice second so far in this year's Tour Series. Can she finish it with a flourish and take that victory? She's already got that sprint's classification sewn up after taking 2nd in 2019. Can she take that much sought after individual victory? As we said, the individual winner on the night does get those bragging rights of crossing the line first, but in a team competition such as this, they want that team classification, such prestige surrounding the Tour Series. This really was the catalyst for the launch of the Women's Tour in this country. That will take place in October, if you're liking what you see here. Megan Barker now moving up towards the front. Jessica Finney will just slot in on the wheel. So the difference between the Tour Series and other races, whereas the lead out, normally you can just sit back and drift in on the back. You've done that big effort. You have to keep yourself as close as you can to the front. Number 7 there, Sophie Thackeray just dive bombing everyone on the inside of that corner. Barker now takes the front. The track rider, so experienced is Megan Barker, can do a huge lead out on the front and deciding on this technical. Oh, huge crash for Ellen McDermott of Boom Pods. The blue jersey goes down and she's up quickly. Oh, what a disastrous finish for Ellen McDermott. What a shame to see that, but she is up. She's grabbing the bike. Back to the front now on the final corners. Barker leads through here. Tindley is right on the wheel and there's a gap from them to the next riders. Count those jerseys. 2 at the front for Cams Basso Bikes as they swing round that final corner. Barker opens it up now. Tindley, can she come off the wheel of Megan Barker? Barker's got the power on the front. Is Megan Barker going to make it too? Yes, she is. She takes the victory for Cams Basso. Tindley is there. Finney crosses the line. Count those jerseys. There's Amy Gornall. She's the second counter. Looking for the third rider from Cams Basso. There's Sophie Thackeray crossing the line. There's the replay of the crash. Ellen McDermott, what a shame for the Boom Pods rider. There is your winner, though, on the night. And Thackeray, she can see they're celebrating. And you can see a bit of blood on the knee there for Ellen McDermott. It's taking the paint off, as we say. Great to see her getting up and riding into the finish. But it's another win for Megan Barker. Sophie Thackeray, will it be enough to take that team classification? Megan Barker taking the win. Deja vu for Jo Tindley as she came in second for the third time in the series. 3 races. Jessica Finney finishing third. Megan Barker of Cams Basso Bikes on the podium for the individual win for the second time this series, following her victory in Sunderland.
I'm really, really proud of all the girls. Like, they've done exactly what we've all our jobs all were, and the lead outs they've given me, like, if I didn't win, I would have been gutted. So yeah, it was a massive team performance.
And Barker returning to the podium as the rider recording the Brother UK fastest lap round the 1.4 kilometre Castle Douglas circuit with a time of 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Jo Tindley won the series freewheel sprints jersey with a total of 40 points, scoring 12 points on the night to put her out of sight of Ellen McDermott, who finished with 27 points. Jessica Finney finishing third with 15. With riders placing first, third and 12th at Castle Douglas, not surprisingly, Cams Basso Bikes took the team win for the round. The final standings look like this. Cams Basso Bikes and Pro Noctis level on 42 points. Megan Barker's Cams Basso Bikes taking the overall series win on countback by virtue of winning 2 of the 3 rounds. Team LDN Brother UK with 32 points, third in the final standings. It couldn't have been closer, but the defending champions, Cams Basso Bikes, were the team that took to the podium as the overall women's winning team and successfully retaining the Tour Series title.
Well then, next up it is the men, and it's another tight battle for the overall. I mean, perhaps understandably after 3 rounds, the gaps between, well in this case, first and fourth are pretty marginal. 4 teams separated by just 4 points. But in second place, Crimson Orientation Marketing Race Team, Joey Walker, you've got a chance here, haven't you? Just 2 points to make up.
Yeah, definitely. We've had 2 good consistent rounds, and it's all come down to final round, so we're going to be going full gas. Almost
by stealth, because you haven't taken an individual win yet, but you've been, just super consistent. That's been the key to your success thus far, I guess. Yeah,
we've come into it with just like racing and enjoying racing bikes, and we've ended up second overall and a chance to take the lead. I did want an individual win, but you never know, tonight might be the night.
Yeah, now this circuit has got this drag up to the finish line here, but that howling tailwind all the way up. Now I don't know what effect that'll have. Do you think that neutralised the effect of it a little bit?
If anything, tailwind on an uphill makes it harder, because at the back you've got no benefit of the wind, so it could be in bits, or it could be that the back straight neutralises it a bit. Yeah. So that's the exciting thing about crits. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it was very interesting the other night in Sunderland, the result, wasn't it? Because with the Welsh Racing Academy getting those 2 riders up there and taking the individual as well, just missed out on the team win. But that shows you, I guess, what's possible and will have kind of inspired everybody against the big boys in inverted commas.
Definitely, yeah. We're not the biggest team, but we're definitely taking it to the biggest teams. And like you say, all it takes is one bad round and the whole table can turn upside down. So we've just got to have luck on our sides and good legs, and we'll give it everything.
Excellent. Looking forward to it?
Yeah, definitely.
Riders on the start here in Castle Douglas, 1.4 kilometre technical circuit. A town known very much for bike racing. 2016, Andre Greipel took a stage victory in the Tour of Britain, but tonight it's all about the best of British criterium riders as we roll away from the start. Just 3 points separate the top 4 teams overall, so still very much to play for, with Ribble well tight in those yellow jerseys as series leaders. They're going to have to be ever so vigilant around this technical circuit here this evening. The defending champions, though, Canyon DHB Sungod, did not have the start to the series that they wanted in Guisborough. The boys in blue, though, are fighting back to try and take it on the final round. River Weltite you're watching out for in these yellow jerseys, the freewheel leaders jerseys. Richardson Trek in their orange colours. They've been riding well in this series. They've been a guest team in previous seasons. A race here, a circuit of a rectangle. St Piran in their black, Scotland in their blue and white, Tekkers in their pink and blue multicoloured jerseys. Talented crit riders are the Tekkers boys. Spectra Wiggle, Trinity Racing and the Wales Racing Academy. Trinity's Ollie Rees having a great last round. Joe Holt and Will Roberts riding well so far in the series. There's the sprints overall. Matt Gibson is leading in that competition with 25 points ahead of Will Roberts and Joe Holt. He has led that since almost lapping the entire field on the opening round in Guisborough. So we can expect a battle on our hands. Will Roberts on the left there wearing that light blue jersey. He's second in that classification. And as Gibson wears yellow, that drops down to the second place rider. We are at the end of the sighting lap. 1 hour and 5 laps between us and crowning the winner of the Tour Series for 2021. After 15 minutes of racing, the riders contested Sprint 1. None of the contenders for the freewheel sprints jersey, including leader Matt Gibson, scored points. It was Charlie Tanfield, recently returned from the Tokyo Olympics. It took 5 points ahead of Joey Walker, with Charles Page, Ryan Christensen and Freddie Sheshko, of course, came down in that dreadful crash in Guisborough, taking 1 point. It meant that going into Sprint 2, Matt Gibson still had his 7-point advantage over Will Roberts and Joe Holt. Finn Crockett on the front here for Team Scotland, and you can see just how high the pace is here in Castle Douglas. Joey Walker sat second wheel there for Crimson Orientation Marketing. He's in that white jersey with the red, white and blue bands as the National Criterium champion. So he is a specialist in this discipline. Isaac Mundy up here in the orange as well of Richardson's Trek. He has had a good series, has Isaac Mundy, and good to see him really fighting it out at the front. But it's Ryan Christensen now of Canyon DHB through to the front. Matt Gibson in that yellow jersey. Plenty of blue jerseys at the front for Canyon DHB. So this defending champions are looking to really fight it out for this one. Christensen, the New Zealander, up there in his national championships this year. Sprint lap this time, so they go through, they get the klaxon. There's your sprints leader though in that yellow jersey with the orange helmet of Matt Gibson. Roberts though, a little bit further down is the blue jersey. So this is the question here tonight in Castle Douglas. 3 rounds of the Tour Series really close together. How much will that affect the legs of the riders here this evening, especially riders such as Will Roberts and Joe Holt that have been in breakaways on multiple occasions in this year's series. Tanfield takes a big gulp out of the bottle, and you can see from this long shot here that the peloton is starting to split under the pressure at the front. And importantly, watch out for those team jerseys. The Wales Racing Academy red jersey just looking up to see where their teammates are behind. Tanfield, though, back from those Tokyo Olympic Games for Canyon DHB. The man from the team pursuit has so much power on the front, especially through these corners, this tight technical circuit. Gibson now just moves up to second wheel. 25 points going into tonight was his lead. 7-point advantage he had over Will Roberts. Joe Holt third with 17 points. Tanfield, though, can't challenge for the overall, but knowing what Charlie Tanfield's like, just likes to fight for anything that he can in these races. Opens up the pressure on the front, and you can see behind everyone just scrabbling around for positions under the pressure of the Canyon DHB rider on the front. Gibson, though, is locked in on the wheel. It's Owen Roberts of the Wales Racing Academy that's up and defending in third, but out of that corner, 100 metres to go up towards the line. Tanfield takes that opportunity to have a glance back over the shoulder. Gibson comes off the wheel, though, does he? No, Tanfield takes maximum points at the end of that lap, with Matt Gibson taking 4 points. But more importantly, his nearest challengers, not scoring points, so it's Tanfield from Gibson, Owen Roberts, Leon Mazzoni and Jim Brown. Gibson on the front, the big power of this man. After 2 sprints, Tanfield at the top tonight with 10, Gibson with 4. But Matt Gibson extending the lead in the freewheel sprints classification. Canyon DHB now on the front. We're heading towards sprint 3, and you can see, more importantly, there is a real split in this peloton now under the pressure of the defending champions from 2019 in the blue, and it's Jacob Vaughan on the front, winner of the King of the Mountains classification in the Tour of Britain back in 2019. He is a gutsy rider. We saw him when he took that title. Multiple breakaways for Jacob Vaughan when he took that. Christensen right on the wheel. Gibson, you can see, more importantly, up towards the front as we head towards the next sprint. But have a look down the group. The Wales Racing Academy rider Joe Holt in the red jersey sits 3rd, just coming out of that bottom corner. He's in this group, but will he want to get himself up and try and fight for the points? We go through the klaxon, 1 lap to go to sprint 3. Canyon DHB on the front, and there's a real lack of Ribble well-tight yellow jerseys in this group. You can see as they go past the pits, they're just looking for some instruction from the team manager Tim Elverson at the side. They're leading out Canyon DHB. They're keeping that pressure on at the front. For them, it's all about trying to split this group. Joe Holt, you can see in that red jersey, just 2nd from the back of the line here, just rocking and rolling those shoulders. Tanfield now hits the front. Gibson is setting himself up for this final sprint. Tanfield just opening just a small gap through these corners. It is great to see the technique of these Criterium riders through this technical Castle Douglas circuit. These 90-degree bends. Owen Roberts right in the wheel. Isaac Mundy keeping himself up towards the front, but Tanfield really wanting to fight out for these sprints here in Castle Douglas this evening. And you can see the riders able on this section to just glance across and see where the other groups are behind. Canyon DHB, all of the jerseys in this front group as Gibson now moves up on that final corner, wants to take the 3rd sprint of the night, 100 meters to go up towards the line. He wants this freewheel sprints competition, and he's gonna go through, put it out of sight. Matt Gibson takes 5 points to secure that classification overall. And there you have it. Sprint 3, Gibson takes 5 ahead of Tanfield, Owen Roberts, Isaac Mundy and Leon Mazzoni. Little flick of the elbow from Matt Gibson. Charlie Tanfield, 14 points on the night, but those 9 points for Matt Gibson secures that sprints classification overall. Now our attention shifts and Matt Gibson looking around for some help. It's the team classification and Ribble well tight. Just 1 rider in the lead group. Heading towards the final 3 laps of the Tour Series final round here in Castle Douglas. Now our attention shifts to the team classification going into tonight. 3 points separating the top 4 teams overall. Ribble well tight with 24, Crimson Orientation with 22, Canyon DHB and Wales Racing Academy with 21. So as they go through with 3 to go, remember 4 riders to count in that general classification overall. In this leading group, we have Jim Brown, Ryan Christensen, Jacob Scott, Charlie Tanfield and Reese Wood of Canyon DHB. Matt Gibson on his own for Ribble well tight. Alec Briggs from Tekkers, Leon Mazzoni from Crimson Orientation Marketing with Joey Walker and Toby Barnes. Finn Crockett from Scotland, Joe Holt and Owen Roberts from the Wales Racing Academy, and this is where the rest of the Ribble well tight riders are. So the series leaders are very much on the road ropes. And the Wales Racing Academy rider of Will Roberts in that blue jersey is also in this group. So the scenarios that could play out now in this race with just one Ribble Well type rider in this leading group. You can see 2 other counters in that group behind. So if a Ribble Well type win tonight, they win the series. If they finish second, they're champions. If they finish third, they're the champions, provided Crimson Orientation Marketing don't win. For Crimson Orientation to win, if they win, they're the champions, provided Ribble finish 4th or lower. For Canyon DHB, if they win, they're champions, provided Ribble Well type finish 4th or below. So lots of scenarios that can play out here. It is going to take a huge effort now from the Ribble Well type riders to either get across to the leading group, or they're going to have to pack the front of the chasers to secure this title overall. The defending champions in the blue, Canyon DHB, they had a disastrous start to this year's Tour Series in Gisborough, losing Rory Townsend and Matt Bostock. Multiple riders going down in crashes, including this man here, Ryan Christensen, close to the finish. It has meant, though, that they have had to battle in these final 2 rounds. And we know what this team can do. They have placed 5 riders in this leading group, and you couldn't ask for a better finish to a series than this. Christensen from New Zealand, he's got Isaac Mundy and Alec Briggs right on the wheel. So good to see the Richardson Trek man here in second wheel. Really has grown in stature over the last few seasons in the Tour Series. Alec Briggs in the pink and blue and green colours of Team Tekkers, a super talented Criterium rider. If you think this is nuts, Alec Briggs is a fixed gear Criterium rider. So races on circuits like this, in things like the past, like the Red Hook Crits, on a track bike with no brakes. Alec Briggs, last time I was calling a race with him, it was the last man standing, the Rad Race in Berlin, which he took on an indoor go-kart track on that fixed gear bike. He runs this Tekkers team, and he's looking to try and do something really different with this setup. Really does look after his riders, and it really is great to see Tekkers up here and challenging for the individual victory. Matt Gibson of Ribble Well type moves up, so it's got to be important for Gibson to try and get as close to the front as he can here, but those blue jerseys all lined out behind him now. Does he have the kick into the finish of the Matt Gibson? He's alone against the full Canyon DHB team in this one. Look out for those pink jerseys of Crimson Orientation Marketing, as well as that British Criterium Champions jersey of Joey Walker. But Alec Briggs is on the front here as they go through with 1 lap to go. It's Briggs on the front, that yellow jersey of Gibson, then all of those blue jerseys lined out behind him. We've got Blake Quick in there as well, the Aussie from Trinity Racing, a little bit further down the back, but on this tight, technical Castle Douglas circuit, you've got to be as close to the front as you can going into this final lap. Briggs leading out here as Jacob Vaughan now moves through to the front. Tanfield moves up as well. Charlie Tanfield, what a ride he's put in here this evening. They all move around now. Joe Holt, you can see that red jersey as riders just start to get distanced a little bit off the back of the group. Josh Price and Bradley Simons just starting to get dropped a little bit off the back of the group, but attention to the front. Canyon DHB pack the front, and then it will be down, I'm sure, to a frantic chase behind from those Ribble Well tight yellow jerseys to try and take this overall. Briggs moves up again for Team Tekkers. Joe Holt tries to get himself up towards the front. Does he have one last charge left in the legs in this one? Briggs, though, favouring that front position to try and lead out through these final corners and set himself up for the victory. They've got a left-hander to come at the end of this section, swinging through there. They'll use the whole road out of that corner. and then line up for the finish. Charlie Tanfield, though, comes through that final corner. Tanfield with 100 metres to go, comes through on the inside of Alec Briggs. Tanfield, can he take his first Tour Series victory and finish it off? Yes, he can. Tanfield takes it from Briggs. Look at those jerseys, though. Count the jerseys. There's Gibson coming in. Canyon, DHB, they should take it on the night. But more importantly, where are the Ribble Weldtite jerseys for the general classification? Thumbs up for a well-deserved victory for Charlie Tanfield. There are the next counters. Page and Sheshka, look out for those Wales Racing Academy jerseys as well. So the individual night goes to Charlie Tanfield. Congratulations overall for Canyon, DHB. For Ribble Weldtite, though, you can see the exhaustion. Have they done enough? Confirmation of the Castle Douglas result. Charlie Tanfield in first place, Alec Briggs second, and Jim Brown in third. Charlie Tanfield on the podium at the Tour Series, having hardly had time to draw breath since the Olympics.
I knew I had to be out this last corner first, so sat about second, third wheel and just worked my way up, and then last corner, full gas and sprint all the way to the line and managed to hold them off to the finish.
And Tanfield back on the podium, having recorded the Brother UK fastest lap in a time of 1 minute and 49 seconds. Another great round in Castle Douglas gives Matt Gibson the freewheel sprint competition, which he has led since round 1. Charlie Tanfield finished second with 23 points from 2 races, and William Roberts with 18 points places him in third. Canyon DHB Sun God took the win for the second race in a row, with riders finishing first, the 3rd, 10th and 13th. But the individual race win not enough to dislodge Ribble Weldtite Pro Cycling from the top of the standings. Ribble Weldtite with a total of 35 points, defending champions Canyon DHB Sun God just a point behind, and the Wales Racing Academy third with 33 points. Ribble Weldtite, the overall team winners, taking the Tour Series trophy for the first time.
Well, that was not only absolutely thrilling, it was also fantastically complicated. For a while I was watching it up in the pit lane and trying to get on terms with what you guys were coping with there, because it was literally chess on wheels, wasn't it? Colin Sturgis, manager of Ribble Weldtite, series winner, and Tim Elverson. You challenged them so hard, Tim, didn't you? You did everything you possibly could, really.
Yeah, it was always going to be difficult after the lads' line on the ground on Sunday. So we just did what we could, which is win rounds and put pressure on Carl and hope something happens, and the guys stood up to it, and that's how it went.
Did you get a little bit, I mean, it was so disjointed, wasn't it? And you had 3 riders at least off the back, 4 really, only Matt Gibson represented in that front of the race. Were you a bit concerned?
Yeah, we were. As Tim said, you know, so you do your best, and you're going through all sorts of permutations in your head, and you know, at the end of the day, the best way of doing it is as Tim did on the night, you know, is get the boys up there, mash them at the front, and just ride hard. You know, we were constantly working it out in our heads. You know, if we're third, then we still got a chance. If we're second, we've got it. But yeah, I mean, it basically came down to the last 5 laps.
Yeah. I mean, but listen, you earn your luck in this game, don't you, Colin?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, you've won it in style in Matt Gibson, a very flamboyant rider who's got a great career ahead of him still.
He's an amazing rider. He's an amazing talent. He's you know, he's a good all-rounder. He can ride a decent time trial. He can sprint. He can put the gas down when needs. He's just a phenomenal rider.
Yeah, Tim, I know you set sort of extremely high standards, and you're used to winning this, really, aren't you? So disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, obviously disappointed. Not disappointed tonight, not disappointed on Tuesday. I mean, I knew we were really up against it. So on Sunday I was disappointed because I knew the reality of retaining the title was not going to happen. And we just did what we could, because you can never give up. And it could have come round, and I actually enjoy the chaos of working out who's where in the pits. And I think I can only be happy with how we've ridden on all 3 nights. And I think, you know, my lads can hold their heads up high. But you know, it's bike racing, and we didn't win the series, so we'll have to win it next year. Yeah,
I mean, Cole, just sum it up. It's a truncated series. You've won it. Just whets the appetite for more, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Came close to winning it when I was with Madison back in 2018. You know, in times of COVID and whatever, it's what we needed. Looking forward to next year, you know, mixed said that, you know, hopefully things are kicking on, maybe in up to 10 rounds again. So, you know,
Wouldn't that be
fingers
good?
crossed.
Yeah.
It'll be absolutely magic.
Yeah,
we need to.
We'll see you both at the Tour of Britain in just a few weeks from now. But you've both put on a great show. It was ultimately razor sharp the entire evening. It was on a knife edge, and that's exactly what you wanted. A short, sharp series. And let's hope next year, rather than being the new normal, it looks a little bit more like the old normal.